The walls of Pollsmoor Prison were once ruled by a tyrant, a gruesome crime lord with a thirst for blood, a figure of grand controversy. This is the story of John Mongrel, a leader of the 28th Prison Numbers Gang. This was a man with a stone heart and a love for the prison life, a figure known for his grotesque sexual behavior and a passionate ownership of his disturbing lifestyle. However, as the violent and army general-style leadership continued, John eventually met his downfall. Today we take a look into the social background, lifestyle, rise and fall of one of Cape Town's grand crime lords and gang leaders. Born and bred in a rough-and-tumble Cape Town city outskirts in an area called the Cape Flats, John Mongrel was quick to experience the harsh reality of poverty, gun violence and gang life. The living conditions were a swim or sink situation where one had to know the ways of the streets in order to eat. The Cape Town Cape Flats are an area developed during the apartheid era, where large housing projects were built mostly as part of the nationalist government's large effort to force the colored community out of the central and western areas of Cape Town. The political theorists of the time had designated the central and western areas of Cape Town as being meant only for white citizens. This meant that only white people could reside there permanently, whereas the people of color could work in the cities but would not live there. Additionally, townships were also designated for black people specifically. These were areas such as the Khayelitsha and Gugulethu. Many people grew up on the flats as a product of both informal settlement and forced government relocations. Since many Xhosa people in the region, including people born and raised in the Cape Town area, were designated under apartheid as residents of the Bantustans, many were obliged to live in the area illegally, which further contributed to the growth of informal settlement. This living situation still plagues the area even to date. Under these harsh and inhumane living conditions, John Mongrel as a young boy quickly grew into the life of high-degree crime and murders. In a world where hunger is the order of day and belonging is a rare commodity, the idea of pursuing a career in crime was fascinating, looking at the street cred and access to basic needs that come with it. John was not hesitant to partake in criminal activities, and at the tender age of 14, he was already a hard-cold killer. The young John found himself 10 toes deep participating in gang activities such as stealing, robbing, and break-ins. John continuously rubbed shoulders with the law, going in and out of juvenile correctional services. Until one day, at the tender age of 14, John was involved in a murder case. He was found guilty and sentenced to the Pollsmoor Juvenile Prison. He was initially convicted to 9 years in prison. However, while in prison, he was attracted to the Numbers Gang, specifically the 28th Gang. John looked at the brotherly relationship and benefits that come with being a member and was instantly sold to the idea of being a gang member and immediately joined. South African prison gangs are highly organized criminal fraternities that control inmate life through strict codes, rituals, and rank systems. The main three are the 26s, whose focus is on wealth and smuggling, the 27s, who enforce justice and discipline through violence, and the 28s, who are a militarized brotherhood, split between blood and sexual divisions governing warfare and sexual power. Other structured but less formal groupings include the Big Five, who deal with hybrid economic violence operations, the Air Force, who are the mobile hit squads inside overcrowded cells, the RAF, a splinter faction created to reject sexual exploitation, and the Ninevites, a historical proto-gang whose initiation traditions inform modern gang law. All these operate from a shared secret ideology known as a number, which has ritual codes, knives made from toothbrushes, coded slang, and tattoo symbology. Their influence often extends beyond prison into outside street gangs, shaping organized crime and community politics nationwide. When joining the 28 Numbers Gang, John Mongrel was tasked with carrying out gang violence activities as proof of allegiance to the number. He was given a knife and asked to kill the prison warder. In the fluorescent hush of the cell block, he approached the prison warder with tranquil certainty, stepping into the warder's path as if greeting an appointment. Through a brief yet precise motion with no hesitation, no remorse, the warden's life was claimed in an instant. The warder's life meant more prison years for John. But knowing that he's finally part of the 28th gang, John simply didn't mind. It is commonly believed that this is the crime that awarded him the name Mongrel. Looking at the name Mongrel, there are three meanings attached to it. A mongrel is most commonly understood as a dog of mixed uncertain breed, the total opposite of a pedigree dog. On the other hand, the term can also broadly apply to any mixed breed animal, especially when the exact lineage is unknown. However, outside of animals, the name mongrel has been used as a derogatory term towards people, particularly to demean those of mixed ancestry or those viewed as outsiders. In certain yet common South African prison context, it can further refer to an individual of very low status, someone seen as an expendable or unimportant, but this usage is deeply dehumanizing and abusive. Whether it was a derogatory name or not, the newly named mongrel did not mind the name, for so long as it meant that he was part of the 28th gang. This was the beginning of Mongrel's career as a prison gang member and a journey to climbing up the Pollsmoor Prison ranks all the way up to the position of general of the 28th gang. This was an ascension trip brought by blood, betrayal, and grotesque prison crimes. Once he reached the general status, he made sure to maintain this status by any means necessary. Being the prison gang general came with many responsibilities and privileges. As a general, you act as a top-tier decision maker who controls strategy, discipline, and resources, both inside and outside prison. The generals do not do the day-to-day tasks themselves. They issue orders through ranked structure beneath them. Their role is authority, coordination, and maintaining the gang's internal order and power. A general exists to manage operations, not personally carry them out. A gang general decides who gets recruited, who gets punished, and how gang resources such as contraband, money flow, or communications are allocated. They approve or deny actions requested by lower rank members. For example, a lower ranking member might request permission to retaliate against a rival or enforce a rule. The general authorizes or forbids it. They ensure loyalty, obedience, and stability. Their authority is not casual. Disobeying or bypassing a general can result in harsh internal discipline. Mongrel controlled internal tribunal self-made structures that resolved disputes and rule on violations of gang codes. As a general, he had the power to declare a gang member as being in good standing or demote them to lower or punished states. This also includes sometimes ordering sanctions like isolation, beating, or expulsion from the structure. All orders are delivered through coded language and trusted intermediaries. While in prison, Mongrel maintained a direct relationship with external criminal networks, corrupt officials, or outside street soldiers. Even while incarcerated, he still managed to run drug distribution or protection rackets on the outside. Messages are smuggled through visiting systems, compromised staff, coded letters, or communication devices. They may coordinate money collection, territory dispute, or alliances. Prison is not a barrier, it is often a command center. It is also important to note that Mongrel maintained the ideological, historical, and symbolic identity of the 28th gang. Under this duty, he was expected to remember gang codes, histories, and rituals. His role is partly political, teaching indoctrination to new recruits, reinforcing a shared belief system, and preventing splinter factions. In numbers gangs, specifically the 26s, 27s, and 28s, there is a distinct mandate: money, law, discipline, and soldiers, and a general keeps his group aligned with that mandate. John Mongrel gained a notorious reputation inside the South African Pollsmoor Prison, specifically for appearing in a documentary interviewed by Ross Kemp, done in 2010, where he explained his use of sexual domination as a method of punishment, control, and psychological destruction. This was a tactic reserved mainly for anyone who is not part of a numbers gang in prison.
And I told him, you sleep there. And if he's not the number, I have sex with him.
He openly stated that breaking a man through sexual coercion was more powerful than stabbing because it did not hurt the body, but rather shattered their manhood and pride. Within the gang structure, he treated forced sexual subjugation as a strategic weapon used to humiliate rivals, discipline defiance, and stamp permanent ownership over new or weaker inmates. He did not present it as lust. He institutionalized it as a fear-based governance, a calculated act of power used specifically to establish absolute rule. Former prisoners describe how simply invoking his name was enough to silence an entire cell because he represented a form of punishment that marked a man forever. When asked if he was gay for so gladly administering this punishment, he gladly stated that that was not the case and that these brutal acts actually proved that he was a ndota, which literally translates man in Zulu.
Does that make you gay?
No,
Why not?
I'm not a gay.
What are you then, a man?
I'm daughter, a man.
Right, you're the man, but what about the man that gets what's he?
He's a woman.
He's a woman.
Yeah, a wife, a woman.
This power flaunt and open interview where John agreed to share rituals and practices held as being sacred by the 28th gang enraged the inmates who were part of the 28th gang, and there was now an internal struggle for power which caused contentions. But Mongrel, however, was still holding firm to his role as general. Mongrel reportedly died in 2014 in prison, 4 years after the interview he did with Roskemp, and this sparked theories about his demise. It is claimed that John Mongrel's fall came when the same prison gang system he dominated turned against him. In the number code, leadership is only tolerated as long as it serves the gang, and Mongrel's rule became too chaotic, too personal, and too publicly exposed. Other high-ranking 28s apparently began to view him as a liability, especially after he started acting independently of the gang's formal judgments, punishing people on impulse rather than following official gang trials. This broke the sacred structure of the number. His downfall apparently accelerated when outsiders, journalists, wardens, even the public began to know him by name, which is a direct violation of prison secrecy. Once your face as a general become media popular, you are seen as the risk to the system. It is thus alleged that the 28th internally demoted, then later assassinated him. There have been discussions and arguments in discourses where it was argued that Mongrel died of natural causes while already outside. The story is that he had eventually gotten released after serving so many years in jail. Several Cape Flats residents have came out claiming that John Mongrel was seen outside, leading a somewhat normal life while still keeping some criminal connections intact. A man known as Nani Matsuso, alleged to be associated with the 27th, claimed in later interviews that he personally assassinated John. According to Nani's own words, he supposedly watched as Mongrel perpetuated sexual crimes against inmates and grew nauseated by the man's behavior. He also happened to have a personal grudge because Mongrel was the one who once stabbed his father. Nani claimed that he hated the way that Mongrel perpetuated prison stereotypes about number gangs and thus decided to officially assassinate the man. Nani also claimed that he got angered by the fact that the police officials were allowing Mongrel's behavior inside the prison cells and offered him protection, and thus he had to wait patiently for the man's slip-up, and once an opportunity presented itself, he then attacked and claimed Mongrel's life on the spot. Nani claimed that he used a smuggled prison knife. He claimed that after the hit was executed, instead of being punished, the prison court commended this behavior, and he went punished free. This was apparently because Mongrel had become such a huge problem even for the state, since there is no death penalty, and thus whatever punishment they implemented on him was simply useless. It is however important to note that no official institutional records, police statements, or credible investigative sources confirm Mongrel's death or identify Nani as being responsible. The question then remains, which of these stories are true of Mongrel's downfall?
Down. My face him.
You face him, yeah?
Yeah, sex with him.
You hold him down. Does someone else help you hold him down, or you do it on your own?
No, he's scared for me.
So he has to have sex?
Yeah, then he lay.